What does it mean to truly be prepared when the grid goes down? It's a question that echoes in the mind of every prepper. Yet it's not just about having the right gear. It's about making the right decisions under extreme pressure. Today, we'll be revealing the top 10 bug-out rules that no one talks about. These aren't your run-of-the-mill tips. These are hard-won lessons from field-tested survival, military tactics, and real disaster scenarios that could mean the difference between life and death. We'll delve into topics like why bug-out bags aren't one-size-fits-all, the importance of scouting your route beforehand, and why you should avoid popular bug-out locations. We'll also discuss how to disappear immediately, how to travel during peak chaos, and why you should stop telling people your plans. Let's dive into this uncharted territory and uncover the rules that could save your life. Let's start with the first rule. Your bug-out bag isn't a one-size-fits-all solution, and here's why. Your bug-out bag, or BOB, is a lifeline, a survival kit tailored to you, your needs, your environment, and your mission. Cookie-cutter lists circulating on the internet may provide a good starting point. However, they often ignore the uniqueness of your situation. For instance, a desert dweller's BOB would look drastically different from a city dweller's. The former may prioritize water purification tablets and sun protection, while the latter might focus on tools for urban survival, such as lockpicks or a multi-tool. So how do you customize your BOB? Start by evaluating your environment and potential challenges. Then, think about your personal needs, any medical conditions, and your skill set. Remember, your bag should be as unique as you are. Moving on to rule number 2, never bug out blind. This rule is simple, yet so often overlooked. When society collapses and chaos ensues, you can't just rely on a hastily sketched map or the vague memory of a hiking trail. You need to know your route like the back of your hand. Imagine this, it's pitch black, the air is thick with panic, and you're trying to navigate treacherous terrain filled with potential hazards. That's not the time to realize you don't know your route as well as you thought, so scout your route in advance. Walk it, map it, know every twist and turn, every potential choke point, every hidden escape route. Understand the terrain, the flora, the fauna, and even the weather patterns. Remember, in a crisis, knowledge is your best weapon and your best defense. Knowing your route as well as you know your own backyard could be the difference between life and death. Now, let's discuss Rule 3. Avoid popular bug-out locations. When the grid goes down, everyone with a bug-out plan will rush to the same locations they found on survival blogs, videos, and forums. These popular destinations quickly become crowded, chaotic, and dangerous. As resources dwindle, competition escalates, and these havens can turn into war zones. Instead, look for off-grid alternatives. Remote locations that are less known or harder to reach can offer a safer refuge. Look for natural resources, water sources, edible vegetation, game trails, but also consider the location's defensibility. Is it easily visible? Are there multiple escape routes? And keep your alternatives a secret. The less people know about your hideout, the safer you'll be. It's a hard truth, but in a survival situation, knowledge is power, and power can be a threat. Remember, popularity is not always a good thing when it comes to survival. Let's move on to rule number 4, disappear immediately. When the world as we know it collapses, the initial 24 hours are the most dangerous. As panic spreads, the risk of detection and conflict skyrockets. It's during this time that your ability to blend into the background, to become invisible, is most critical. So how do you disappear in a world of chaos? Start by minimizing your noise and light signatures. Move quietly and avoid drawing attention. Stay off main roads and well-traveled paths. Use the cover of night to your advantage, but remember, it's a double-edged sword. Yes, it provides concealment, but it also hampers your own visibility. Master the art of low-profile movement. Think like a ghost, move like a shadow. Be aware of your surroundings and always have an escape route. Remember, in a world gone mad, your invisibility can be your greatest asset. Rule number 5, never travel during peak chaos. Timing, my friends, is the unsung hero of any successful bug-out. Leave too early, and you may draw unwanted attention. Leave too late, you might find yourself enmeshed in a wave of panic, trapped in gridlock or worse, in the midst of riots. So, how do you read the window of escape? Keep your ear to the ground, metaphorically speaking. Monitor news outlets, social media, even police scanners if you can. Look for that sweet spot, the lull before the storm or the moment when the initial panic starts to subside. This is when you make your move. But remember, even the best laid plans can go awry. Stay flexible and be ready to adapt on the fly. Timing is everything, and in this case, it could be the key to your survival. Next up is rule number 6. Don't rely on GPS or cell towers. When the grid goes down, our digital crutches often go with it. GPS and cell towers are no exception. They're not designed to survive the chaos of a collapse. In fact, they're likely to be among the first casualties. So, how do you navigate a world without digital aids? Well, you go old school, you master the art of reading a paper map, and you familiarize yourself with the terrain features of your bug-out route. You learn to interpret the landscape, to identify landmarks, to gauge distances. You get comfortable with a compass, and you learn to read the stars. These are skills that our ancestors took for granted, but in our digital age, they've become something of a lost art. But in a collapse scenario, these skills could be the difference between life and death. In a world without digital aids, your navigation skills will be your lifeline. Moving on to rule number 7. Stop telling people your plans. This is all about operational security, or OPSEC for short. In a survival situation, knowledge is power. The more information others have about you, your resources, and your plans, the more vulnerable you become. Loose lips can lead to stolen gear, compromised routes, or even personal danger. So how do you maintain OPSEC? Start by keeping your plans close to your chest. Don't broadcast your bug-out location or route to anyone who doesn't absolutely need to know. Be cautious about who you trust. Even well-meaning friends or neighbors can unintentionally leak information. Next, be discreet about your prepping activities. Purchase supplies in small, inconspicuous quantities. Avoid wearing overtly tactical or survivalist gear in public. Remember, blending in is your friend. Finally, consider misinformation. If people think they know your plans, they'll be off your trail. Your survival could depend on your ability to keep a secret. Rule number 8. Pack to move, not to camp. Let's start by understanding the fundamental difference between a camping trip and a survival situation. Camping is about comfort and enjoyment. Survival, on the other hand, is about endurance and adaptability. Packing for survival means thinking about mobility, speed, and agility. Every ounce you add to your pack can slow you down and drain your energy. So it's time to cut the dead weight. Luxury items like that camping chair or extra-large sleeping bag are out. Instead, focus on essentials that serve multiple purposes. A tarp, for example, can be a shelter, a ground sheet, or a rain catchment system. A bandana can be a water filter, a head cover, or a bandage. Also consider your clothing. Dress in layers, opt for lightweight, quick-drying fabrics, and don't forget a good pair of sturdy, comfortable shoes. Remember, you're packing to survive, not to take a vacation. Rule number 9. Hydration beats calories in the first 72 hours. When the world around you is falling apart and you're on the move, your body's immediate need isn't for a hearty meal, but for water. Water keeps your muscles working, your brain sharp, and your body temperature regulated. You might think you can tough it out, but dehydration is a silent and swift killer. It can set in before you even feel thirsty, impairing your decision-making abilities and physical strength, the two things you need most in a survival situation. So, how do you ensure you're well hydrated? 1. Always have a way to purify water. Boiling, filtration, or purification tablets can all do the trick. 2. Carry water with you, but be mindful of weight. And 3. Conserve your water. That means limiting physical exertion and staying cool to reduce sweating. Your thirst for survival should be matched by your thirst for water. Finally, rule number 10. Stay unpredictable. When it comes to survival, unpredictability can be your best ally. It's about breaking patterns, avoiding routine, and keeping potential threats guessing. Think of it this way: if you become predictable in your movements or actions, you essentially lay out a roadmap for anyone or anything that might pose a threat. Let's put it into perspective. If you're using the same route to travel or fetch water daily, you're setting up a pattern that can be tracked, traced, and ambushed. The key is to rotate your paths, change your rhythms, and stay fluid. Don't let the sun set or rise on you in the same place twice. In survival, the unexpected is your friend. Embrace it. Use it to your advantage. Your unpredictable moves can keep you one step ahead of threats. So there we have it, the top 10 bug-out rules no one talks about. The importance of these rules cannot be overstated. They are the difference between surviving and succumbing, between thriving and merely existing. From understanding that bug-out bags are not one-size-fits-all to the critical need to disappear immediately, when the SHTF, each rule holds a vital piece of the survival puzzle. We've discussed the importance of avoiding popular bug-out locations, the necessity of not relying on GPS or cell towers, and the critical role of hydration in the initial 72 hours. We've also emphasized the importance of unpredictability and the need to keep your plans to yourself. In the end, remember that the most important part of your preparation is not the gear you carry, but the knowledge you hold, the decisions you make, and the actions you take. Preparation is more about the mind than the gear. Stay prepared, stay alive.